Our next guest is a FAMU College of Law alum who has her own firm in Tampa focused on estate planning law. We welcome attorney Karen Skyers to Legal Connections.
Thank you, Kimra. It is
Hey,
always
pretty lady.
a pleasure to be here with you.
Yes, well, we're going to just get right into it. What is the difference between a will and a trust?
A will, and first let me start with what is an estate plan.
Okay.
Because I think that is what actually tells people the route. So
Okay.
the estate plan is actually the process in which people decide the distribution of their assets after death or during their life, right? So a will is a legal document. It is a public document, but it does distribute what you want, and it says what your needs are, right? And how you want your family to obtain all of your assets after you pass away. The trust is also a different legal document, right? But it's sort of like a box, and a box that keeps your assets safe,
Okay.
right? And so that is a document that is private, and it has a trustee. The trustee oversees the management of those assets for the beneficiaries. So you can have a revocable trust, which can be changed during the course of your life, or you could have a testamentary trust that activates once you are deceased.
Okay.
And one of the major differences is the will is expensive. It does have to go through probate, and it is time consuming.
Yes. Okay. And I know you get this a lot when your clients or prospective clients say, well, or when you're talking with people and they say they don't think they have anything that's worth writing down. What do you say to those people?
I say to those people that it doesn't matter how much or how little you have. After the age of 18, everyone should have legal documents for their family members to know what they want to happen to them during incapacitation and or death, because it becomes so complicated after that. You have family members that are going to fight over your assets, and they could even be fighting over whether you live or die. So you remember the Terry Schiavo case, right? She stayed on life support for over 7 years. So we'll never know whether she wanted life support or not because she didn't have it in writing.
And in Florida, in particular, what happens to people who die without a will?
In Florida, in
Or what
every
happens to
state,
with the families?
right? So in Florida, in almost every state that you die in without a will, it's called intestate. So intestate succession means that the state will have a plan for you if you do not have a plan. So in turn, that means that it goes to your spouse, your children, and then down the road from there. But that may not necessarily be what you desire.
Right.
So some people die without a spouse and or children, and then it goes down to their parents or their siblings. So it just depends. Perhaps you are not in good communication with your parents, or there's some kind of rift between the family members. You want to have that documented so that your family doesn't have to go through that, and they can grieve you properly at that time and or make financial and medical decisions if you are unable to.
What are some of the common misconceptions you encounter when you're consulting with clients?
Well, the first one that you mentioned, I don't have anything. So it doesn't matter how much or how little you have, as I mentioned. It's important for people in your family or people to know what it is you want to do. If you have minor children, there should be a plan in place for a short-term guardian or a long-term guardian.
Yes.
And people don't see that. And even when they're beneficiaries to life insurance policies, children that inherit a substantial amount of money under the age of 18 will still need a guardian. So that is why it's also important to consider a trust with something like a pour over will, which will pour over anything into the trust and keep it safe.
Well, we have really enjoyed your visit with us, and thank you for sharing a bit about estate planning and some of the nuances and things that people should consider. And it's such an important topic, but one that we just don't talk about enough.
Correct.
So,
I am so grateful for the opportunity and for the platform to discuss this very important issue. As I always talk about cultural considerations in estate planning. We
Yes.
all need an estate plan. We are all going to die someday. And just creating a plan doesn't mean that you're going to die. It is a superstition, and we need to plan properly for our
Right.
families
Right.
and for our legacies, because
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah, because it's not a one size fits all. I'm glad you touched on the cultural thing because there are many differences and people should not assume that what they think is going to happen or should happen will happen. So-
Correct. And then just telling someone is never enough. You know, we live in a society where like, my mom said that I can have the house and that is
Yeah.
not sufficient. So
That's
again,
it.
I'm grateful
That's-
for this
That's
time.
the one we'll end on.
Yes, thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. Yes.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes. Well, if you want to keep your family out of probate court and to avoid family disputes of loss and property, consider estate planning and creating a trust that clearly states your wishes.